Hi guys, Mr. Hill here with your English for today. So yesterday we had our first look at our model text and we pulled some of the key vocabulary out. Today I want to look at the structure of our model text. So we're talking about Christopher Marlowe, is his biography. So the first thing we have our title. It tells us who that biography is about. We then move on and we have the dates when he lived. So he was born in 1564, he died in 1593. We have our introduction, we have some key facts. So Christopher Marlowe, also known as Kit, was a poet and a playwright at the forefront of the 16th century dramatic Renaissance. So we know his name, we know he had a shortened form of his name, Kit. He was a poet and he wrote plays. He was at the forefront of the Renaissance of dramatic arts. While Christopher Marlowe's literary career lasted less than 6 years and his life only 29, his achievements, most notably the play The Tragical History of Dr. Faustus, ensured his lasting legacy. So we have a real quick introduction. We find out that he died when he was only 29. He only wrote really for 6 years. And his achievements, one of his most notable achievements, was the history of Dr. Faustus and a play. Then we move on, we have a paragraph about his early life. It tells us where and when he was born and any key facts about the beginning of their life. So our paragraph here, Christopher Marlowe was born in Canterbury around February 26th, 1564. This was the day on which he was baptized. So we've used brackets to add extra information there. He went on to King's School and was awarded a scholarship that enabled him to study at Corpus Christi College in Cambridge from late 1580 until 1587. So not a great deal's happened in his early life. So this is quite a broad spread over it. So we're not going into lots of detail about where he went to school, what he studied at school. We've just got a broad view. Our next paragraph has some interesting events. So we've got Marlowe earned his degree in 1584, but in 1587, the university hesitated in granting him his master's degree. Its doubts were set to rest when the Privy Council sent a letter declaring that he was now working on matters touching the benefit of his country. So we have a hint that there's something really interesting that's happened in his life here that then leads us on to the next part of his story. So we move forward. We have everything's in chronological order. So the whole biography is in time order. So we talk about his birth, where he went to school, important life events. They're all written in chronological order. And if you look through, the dates follow on. We have his important life events. So the events that affect the course of the person's life. So we have the nature of Marlowe's service to England was not specified by the council, but the letter sent to Cambridge has provoked abundant speculation, notably the theory that Marlowe had become a secret agent working for Sir Francis Walsingham's intelligence service. With scant hard evidence and rampant speculation, the mystery surrounding Marlowe's service to the Queen is likely to remain. Spy or not, after attaining his master's degree, Marlowe moved to London and took up writing full time. So this has affected his life or affected his life. He was called into service to the Queen, and that ensured that he got his degrees conferred onto him by his university. After that, he moved to London and he started writing full time. So we know he was a poet and a playwright, but this is when he started doing it. We have links to his career, so from early life to his working life. So after 1587, Marlowe was in London. So the previous paragraph tells us he's moved to London. It now tells us that he's writing for theatre and probably also engaging himself occasionally in government service. But quite what that is, no one's really sure. What is thought to have been his first play, Dido, Queen of Carthage, was written while he was still a student at Cambridge. So again, we've got this link being set up that some of the work he did while he was at university has brought forward into his later life. So we then talk about his career and his working life, the person's job or the reason they became important in history. So Elizabethan theatre was split into three genres: history, tragedy and comedy. Marlowe only wrote histories and tragedies. His histories included Dido, Queen of Carthage, which we know he wrote when he was at university, Edward II, Hero and Leander, and Tamburlaine the Great. The Jew of Malta and the tragical history of Dr. Faustus were his tragedies. Marlowe's most famous play is The Tragical History of Dr. Faustus. It is the first dramatized version of the Faust legend in which a man sells his soul to the devil in exchange for knowledge and power. So this is showing us why he's now important to history. We then move on and we have events that changed his life. So key events that lead to a change in the person's life and could be leading to another job or the next stage of their life story. The constant rumours of Marlowe's atheism, and from yesterday, atheism is not believing in God, finally caught up with him on Sunday, May the 20th, 1593. And he was arrested for just that crime. So atheism or heresy was a serious offence for which the penalty was burning at the stake. Despite the gravity of the charge, however, he was not jailed or tortured, but was released on the condition that he reported daily to an officer of the court. So this is quite an important event in his life. He should have been punished for his crime, but he wasn't. So we have now the end of life events. On May the 30th, however, Marlowe was killed by Ingram Fraser, allegedly. After spending the day together with Marlowe in a lodging house, a fight broke out between Marlowe and Fraser over the bill, and Marlowe was stabbed in the forehead and killed. Conspiracy theories have abounded since, with Marlowe's atheism and alleged spying activities at the heart of the murder plots. But the real reason for Marlowe's death is still debated. So we've got the end of his life, and we've got the fact that he still doesn't have an explanation for what happened in his life fully, that it's sort of been lost in history. And we have additional information. What is not debated is Marlowe's literary importance, as he is Shakespeare's contemporary and second only to Shakespeare himself in the realm of Elizabethan tragic drama. So we've got this last paragraph, which just reinforces his importance in our history. So to recap what we've talked about today, the important parts that make up our toolkit. We've got the dates, when the person lived. We've got the title, tells us who we're talking about. The introduction gives key facts about the person's life that we can then talk about later on. The early life, a brief paragraph, place and time of birth, and any key facts that are really important about the first part of their life. Interesting events, so any interesting events the person lived through. Chronological order, this is really important as a biography. Our last piece of writing was non-chronological. It didn't have to be written in an order. A biography is written and is meant to be read from beginning to end. So you read all the way through it from the start to the finish. And the idea is that it tells the story of their life as you go through it. Important life events, any events that affect the course of the person's life. Make sure again that these are in chronological order. We have links to the career. So we'd find links from what they were doing at university and school and how it turned into something in later life for them. So we had Dido, the play he wrote while he was at Cambridge. He brought it through into his professional life and he set it up on stage and produced it. His career and working life. So the person's job or the reason they became important in history. Events that change their life. So any key event that can lead to a change in that person's life could be leading to another job, a next stage of their life story. We have our end of life events. So if we've got the person we're writing about has died, we will write about the events that lead up to that person's death. We'll talk about the interesting events or where and when, in some cases, how the person has died. With Marlowe's example, he was stabbed in the forehead in an argument over a bill. So that is an interesting story about his death. And then finally, we have any additional information. So the reason why that person might be famous. So all of this goes together to bring together how we're going to structure our biography as we move forward. So if you've printed out the copy I put on Teams, add these notes on, maybe use a highlighter if you've got one, highlight the important things, label the paragraphs as to what they are. Try and do that down the left-hand side of your page, the same as we would do if we were in school with our work. We'd have our model text in the middle of our page, and we'd have down the left-hand side, this is what we would have, and then we'll move on and do the other side of our page in our next lesson. So a short write task for you. I've done a lot of talking. You've done some fantastic listening, so well done. We're going to write some sentences that include these random words. And can you think of any interesting grammar tricks to use? So think about what we were doing before we broke up for half term. Maybe go back and rewatch a few of those videos and have a few ideas as to what you could use. So I want a sentence with dramatic, lasting, and awarded in there. I'd like another sentence with attaining, provoked, and occasionally. And finally, the third sentence, histories, knowledge, and released. Make sure you put your short write up onto Tapestry. I don't need to see your toolkit. This is for you to use when you come to do your final piece of writing later on. Put your sentences up on the Tapestry for me. And as always, take care of each other, stay safe, and we'll see you very soon.